Yo, fam, what's good? All right, we are on part two of the foam rolling series for the lower back. If you haven't watched it yet, I have the first video up that's explaining some of the nomenclature around the areas that we're going to be working on today, which are the glutes, gluteus max, mid, and minimum, and our and I talked about the spine or the spinal area that we're going to be working within, which is from the coccyx to the sacral to the lumbar, which works up into our lower back. And this is the areas that we're going to be full rolling out today. So if y'all haven't watched it, I would encourage y'all to, because it gives you a greater sense about what those muscles do, how they work, their names, how they got their names, and stuff like that. And that's very important for us understanding our body and how it works and how we can relax in and have it work for us as we work for it. Yes? All right. So, as this video goes, we are going to get into some of these foam rolling techniques. Yes, family? Yes. If I can get this thing to sit down a little bit so you can see. All right. So, as mentioned in the first video, we're going to be working with the general foam roller, the deep foam roller, and we're actually going to get into some balls. On top of the fact we're going to be using a wall, you know, for these techniques. And actually, let me back up a little bit so you can see me a little bit more. Actually, let me put this down here. Maybe that'll help. Yeah. Okay, so the first area we're going to be massaging out is the glutes here, our gluteus maximus. And of course, there's just like the general ways of going about that. You know, you can always start out with just a straight foam roll, just working it out and seeing where we find our sensations or our pains or our tension or wherever that must be. There are two specific ways I want to address to you all about getting at the gluteus max, mid, and min. One of them being how to address the max. I know that a good portion of people, when I see people doing foam roll, they tend to use a cross leg technique so that they're stretching the back part of the gluteus maximus out to get some of that tension, which is good for the gluteus maximus because it is the most covering muscle of the glute family, if you will. So this is a very good way to get at the glute max. But if you want to address a little bit more of the mid, which is underneath the max, and in the minimum, which is also underneath the max, you would need to relax the gluteus maximus out because this position here stretches and tenses the gluteus maximus so that it's covering the top part of the glutes. So if you want to penetrate it, you would have to relax it in order to get deeper inside of the glutes max area to the glute mid. So lowering the leg out and like kind of laying it on the ground, I'll show you here. It's kind of what I do to relax the glute max, to work on more of the mid area. And you can feel like upwards by the top part of the hip bone, and inside of that area, you can feel how the max relaxes to allow you to get a little deeper inside of the glute max muscles. Yeah? So that's the general technique that I use to work out the glute max, or the glute family, if you will. Kind of working those areas out. There is the general work of just rolling down the top part of the spine from the coccyx to the sacral. And, first of all, of course, just getting the general roll, it's kind of seeing what's going on and stuff like that throughout this entire area. And not to forget to be within the inside of the legs, close to where our genitals are, or should I say the pelvic floor, want to roll out all the way from the top part of the glutes to the bottom part. He wants to get all of the areas that resides in there. And there's a pretty good technique I like to use. It's a little, a little evasive, if you will, but just like working on like the, I'm going to say like the ligaments and tendons that connect to the sacral, right? Because they're kind of within the glute family area. You kind of want to like spread your rump a little bit over the foam roller so that you can kind of side to side get at those little ligaments on the inside of the glute area, right? Which can feel different, but it's areas that need to be worked because there usually are not worked. So it's just like getting inside of the glute max area, or it's like getting close to the sacrum, getting closer to the inside of the sacrum really helps to get some of that tension out. There's that. I mentioned in a couple of videos before about using Shavasana to kind of get, or that Shavasana corpse posture to get into deeper areas of the body by allowing your body to relax and let go and pretty much let the ocean waves of your breath take you deeper into the muscles, right? So one good one that I like to use for the lower part of my back is laying down over the foam roller on my lumbar right now. This is where it's at. And getting to a point where my pelvis is in a downward position to where gravity is pulling down on my pelvis so that the pelvis is pulling at my lumbar spine right now. So it's almost like a suspending the pelvis so that it stretches the lower lumbar spine, and it feels incredibly good. Like you can lay with your legs in like a cross position like I am. You can lay with it straight down like so. I like to have it like this because it just kind of gives a little more gravity and it helps to pull down that lumbar spine, and it gives you a really good stretch and a relaxation into that lower part of the back. So just getting those muscles to release some of that tension and just kind of sit in that for about a good 5 or 10 minutes is really good for your lower back. Oh man, I almost don't want to get out of it. Along with that, of course, there's other areas of the lower back that are very good to work. The side area that I'm sitting on right now, this is like a good spot to work with the quadratus lumborum, which those muscles attach to the lower lumbar spine and to the top part of the pelvis. And within that area, you don't necessarily have to roll it out like so. You can also just turn side to side. You could turn your body over it and just find some good little spots to sink into. And if you find a good spot, you can just lay down and let yourself sink into it. Bang. Oh man, that really feels good. But yeah, there's that. And what else did I want to relate to you guys before this time goes out? We have our wall. Let's see if I can pull this up so y'all can see the wall. Okay. How y'all doing, family? So y'all can see the wall. It's right now I'm standing with my back to the wall and we're using a ball. And this is very good to use when you want to work on the erector spinae muscles, and those are the ones that run along the spine all the way up. And because it's a little difficult to do so on the ground because like you want to roll up and down the erector spinae, and it's kind of difficult to do that on the ground. So it's easier to use your legs to roll you down by using the ball on your back. And right now my hands are guiding the ball like on the outer sides of my spine, you know, as I roll down the wall and doing a squat on the wall. So that really helps to get some specifics on your back. If you want it to kind of sit in some areas kind of leaning into the wall, you can still do that like Savasana kind of style a little bit, but you have to use your legs to push your back into, oh God, that's a good one, into the ball. And you can work on both sides doing the same things, rolling up the erector spinae. You can go from side to side, you can go up and down, however you want to find those areas of your body to sit in. So that's always a good tool to use, using your balls. If you want to, using your balls. But also, if you want to, this is my softball, which is a little harder. If you want to use a tennis ball, of course, to start with, that's probably a little easier to get you a little accustomed to the sensations of rolling your back out on the wall. Once you start to get used to it, you go a little heavier, right? Yeah, so far, let me put this up. In these quick little videos, I have talked about, well, from the first video, I talked about the nomenclature of the lower back area, which is the glute max, or the glute family, I like to call it. The coccyx, the erector spinae, and the lower lumbar spine, which is our first spine-oriented areas. I talked about how they connect with the mudras of the body, the root and sacral chakra. Talked about some of the nomenclature of the sacral spine, the only fused bone of our spine, which is sacred, or its meaning is sacred bone, or should you say holy bone in some areas. What else? Talked about the lower lumbar spine and those first five that kind of roll up into the lower part of the first ribs, that go up to the first ribs and connect the sacral bone. We talked about a quick foam rolling ways, about how to drop your leg a little bit while working out your glute max to loosen up the glute max, to work on the glute mid, to get deep. Talked about some Savasana techniques to lay into your lower lumbar spine to help stretch it out a little bit more, to get a nice little stretch into the lumbar and the lower area of the body. We talked about how to use the wall with the ball and to work out the erector spinae muscles and kind of, get at some of those areas of the body. And I think that was the heart of just about everything we discussed today. So I think we did pretty good. So yeah, I would like to end this, of course, by saying if y'all have any areas of the body that are causing you some tension, some stress, I would like to know what are your areas of concern or stress, if you will, so that we can create some techniques to work with those bodies for you. I'm going to keep going through the rest of the body and show y'all all the rest of the techniques of the body. But if there's anything that's specific to you that you need to address or want to work on, please hit me up. That's Corey the MT on Instagram. Y'all see these videos up. You can always DM me or whatever, and we can work something out. So to end this is Corey, your friendly neighborhood massage technician, bring you life, love, and liberation. And this is Healing Tones, where I come on here, bless you with some words, poetry, prose, movements, exercises, with the hopes that it brings a light blessing, a good feeling to your day.